Starting off this countdown, we have Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz has starred in a number of iconic movies, from The Mask to There's Something About Mary to Charlie's Angels, and how could we forget about Shrek? Sadly, it seems as if Cameron is over her acting days. She last appeared on screen in 2014 for the film Annie. 4 years later, in 2018, she announced that she has retired. She said that she didn't really miss performing, and as of now, she's just enjoying spending quality time with her daughter. And she loves having tons of time for herself. Who knows though, maybe in a couple more years she'll give acting another go. But as for now, she's set on her retirement. In our 9th spot, we have Jennifer Stone. Any fan of the old school Disney Channel days will recognize Jennifer Stone from Wizards of Waverly Place, where she plays the eccentric Harper. After her Disney Channel days, Jennifer went on to star in a number of TV miniseries and movies. In fact, she was even in a Christmas movie with the actor who played Ned in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Smash that like button if you remember that show. That's a throwback. Anyway, nowadays Jennifer has completely switched careers. She is now a registered nurse and is helping patients with COVID. That is incredible. Good for her. In our 8th spot, we have Jessica Biel. In an interview a couple years ago, Jessica revealed that it's getting harder and harder for her to get roles and to be cast. She claims that her good looks were holding her back. No word of a lie, she said that she was too pretty. Anyways, Jessica is still currently acting, but in more low-key roles. I believe her last big role was The Sinner in 2017. I mean, I heard it's a very good show, so props to her. But after that, it's been mainly voiceover gigs like in BoJack Horseman and Pete the Cat. Nothing huge and Oscar-worthy. Coming in at number 7, we have Lindsay Lohan. Honestly, Lindsay Lohan was responsible for some of the most iconic teen movies like Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, The Parent Trap, Get a Clue, Mean Girls, Freaky Friday, like the list goes on and on. So it's quite sad that we lost such a talented actress with tons of potential. Anyways, Lohan's drug addiction got to her and she kind of fell off the map. When she did try and get back into acting, she was hard to deal with on set and she was demanding and unprofessional. Then of course we had the reality show Lindsay Lohan Beach Club in 2019, and that only lasted 1 season. Now she's back out of the public eye again. Coming in at number 6, we have Terry Crews, another actor who has been in some iconic shows and movies. But after Brooklyn Nine-Nine ending, it doesn't seem like Crews has any more work lined up and ready to go. According to his IMDb page, he only filmed Brooklyn Nine-Nine this year, as well as voiced a character in the upcoming animated movie Rumble. This is unlike him, who is normally filming non-stop each year with multiple projects on the go. Hopefully we will be seeing more of Crews next year, but as of now he has no projects lined up. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jack Gleeson, who you might recognize from Game of Thrones. If you're a fan of the show, then chances are you hated his character. But surprisingly enough, even after acting in such an iconic show, Jack barely got any other acting roles after Game of Thrones. In 2014, he was pretty discouraged by this and said he wanted to resign from acting to focus on his academics. He ended up taking a philosophy course in Ireland. When he announced his decision to take a break from acting, he said, and I quote, "I just stopped enjoying it as much as I used to, and now there's the prospect of doing it for a living, whereas up until now it was always something I did for recreation with my friends or in the summer for some fun. I enjoyed it. When you make a living from something, it changes your relationship with it. It's not like I hate it, it's just not what I want to do." But acting isn't out of the picture. He ended up opening a successful touring theater company and starred in the BBC comedy Out of Her Mind in March. He just won't be in the spotlight as much as he was originally. Coming in at number 4, we have Freddie Prinze Jr. You might know him in I Know What You Did Last Summer, or maybe from his iconic role of Fred in the live-action Scooby-Doo. That right there is my childhood. He also appeared in a back-to-back role in Friends in 2002. Well, after appearing in season 8 of the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, Freddie said that he wanted to quit acting. According to him, and I quote, "I did 24. It was terrible. I hated every moment of it. Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. That's not me talking trash. I'd say it to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. Ouch." He continued on saying, and I quote, "I just wanted to quit the business after that, so I just sort of stopped." So a bad set experience is what triggered Freddie to stop acting. Nowadays though, he's a chef and released his own cookbooks. And he's married to Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Anyway, moving on to number 3, we have Taylor Lautner. After Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Cheaper by the Dozen, Taylor went on to star in Twilight, which is probably what he's best known for. Then he acted in Scream Queens Season 2, which was interesting to say the least. After that, he kinda just fell out of the public eye. That was until recently when he announced his proposal to his now fiancée, Taylor Dome, meaning that they will both be Taylor Lautner if she chooses to keep his last name. It seems as if Taylor had a harder time transitioning from Twilight to more serious roles. It took a while, but his co-stars Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart both did it. Now it's time for you, Taylor. Moving on to number 2, we have Betty White, one of the purest souls out there. Betty White is just incredible, no one can deny that. And this queen is 99 years old, soon she'll be 100, which is hard to believe because she looks too good for her age. Anyway, Betty White has been slowing down on her work lately. Her recent credits are mainly voiceover work, but she has guest starred in a couple of TV shows and movies. But according to her IMDb page, since 2019 she hasn't done any work, which is completely acceptable. Like, this woman has been working since she was a teenager. I just need to know her secrets to living long and looking that damn good. And in our number 1 spot today we have Daniel Day-Lewis. Now this one is hard to believe. Daniel Day-Lewis is incredibly talented. He's got 3 Oscars, 4 British Academy Film Awards, and even got knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. But in 2017, Daniel Day-Lewis released a statement through his rep. The rep said, and I quote, "Daniel Day-Lewis will no longer be working as an actor. This is a private decision and neither he nor his representatives will make any further comment on this subject." This was announced not long after receiving an Academy Award nomination for Phantom Thread. Now, Lewis did go into semi-retirement in the 90s, so maybe that's what's happening again. He's just gonna take a little short break and then come back. Hopefully, he'll be back making movies in no time. Starting off the list at number 10 is Terrence Howard. We saw him take on the role of James Rhodes in the first Iron Man movie, but then he disappeared and we didn't see him reprise his role for the sequel. But we eventually got an explanation for it, and it's pretty simple. Money. He discussed his reasoning for leaving the MCU in 2013 on the Andy Cohen series called Watch What Happens Live. He alleged that Robert Downey Jr., I quote, "took the money that was supposed to go to me and pushed me out." He explained that Marvel signed him up for 3 films, and then when it was time for the sequel, they demanded he take an almost 90% pay cut. I feel like that's illegal. He also said that he called Robert Downey Jr., a friend of his who he actually helped get the role of Iron Man in the first place, and apparently Robert didn't call him back for 3 months. But 4 years later they were able to be civil again, and Terrence admitted that he just ran his mouth when he shouldn't have, and that they are all making money now, so who cares. Up next at number 9 is Zoe Saldana. We watched her play Gamora in the Marvel franchise for years, but recently she disappeared on us. Fans were thrilled to see her resurrection in Avengers Endgame, but her return left everyone with a lot of unanswered questions. Mainly one: what does this mean? Now that she's basically come back to life, where does her character go from here? Fans were hoping to get some answers at Comic-Con this year, but all we got was confirmation that she will not be returning anytime soon. When speaking with the LA Times, she spoke as if her time with the MCU has officially reached an end. They spoke about her last experience as Gamora and how she felt, and she said, "It was sad, of course, because I think we all suffer from FOMO. There is always a fear of missing out, but I'm so happy that I got to play a part in the Marvel universe. So I guess I'm going to cry all the way to Avatar, you know?" Zoe knew she would return for Avengers Endgame to finish the story, but we're all pretty bummed that hers might officially be over. At number 8 we have Gwyneth Paltrow, who we know to play Iron Man's beautiful wife in the series Pepper Potts. She played Tony Stark's love interest for 11 years, appearing in different movies throughout her MCU experience. Her character appeared in all 3 Iron Man movies, as well as Avengers Infinity War, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Avengers Endgame. However, for those who saw Avengers Endgame, we all had to witness the death of Tony Stark, which means we also were saying goodbye to Pepper Potts. Fans might be bummed out, but Gwyneth seems to be okay with it and says that it is her time. She told Variety, "I mean, I'm a bit too old to be in a suit and all at this point." She has nothing but good things to say about her experience in the MCU, and chances are very slim that she will just reappear. So over the number 7 spot is Edward Norton. He took on the role of the Green Monster, the Hulk, in the original Incredible Hulk movie. Fans were in shock back in 2010 when it was announced that they wouldn't be asking him to reprise his role in Avengers, saying that they wanted an actor who, I quote, "embodied the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members." Like anyone else would be, Edward was offended by that statement and told his side of the story, saying they unexpectedly cut off negotiations after weeks of civil discussions. I'm confused. Turns out there was already bad blood between the actor and Marvel because he wanted to rewrite the script, and when his added scenes weren't used in the final cut, he refused to do press for it. More recently in 2018, over a decade later, he took a shot at Marvel during Comedy Central's roast of Bruce Willis and went to the podium and said, "I tried to be like Willis. I did a big action movie called The Incredible Hulk. You know what went wrong? I wanted a better script." Shots fired. Next up at number 6 is Hugo Weaving, who played the Red Skrull throughout his time in the MCU. He first signed a multi-picture deal with Marvel Studios, but then decided he didn't want to return after Captain America: The First Avenger. You might be confused, as we saw the Red Skrull after that in Avengers Infinity War, but that was not Hugo. He was actually replaced by another actor. Apparently there weren't any hard feelings towards Marvel, he just wanted to steer away from blockbuster movies. He spoke about it with Collider, saying, "I think I've done my dash with that sort of film. It was good to do it and try it out, but to be honest, it's not the sort of film I seek out and am excited by." Since then he has appeared in other blockbuster films, but his screen time is relatively short, nothing compared to his time as the Red Skrull. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Tim Blake Nelson. Hulk comic fans weren't surprised when we learned about Mr. Blue in the Incredible Hulk film. The mystery man that Bruce Banner can only contact through instant messages turns out to be a scientist named Samuel Stearns, who was played by Tim Nelson. In the comics, his character is the alter ego of the Hulk nemesis, and their storyline lasted 4 years. This would have fans to believe that we'd see the storyline play out. In 2011, Nelson told the Playlist that he was still under contract to do more films for Marvel, but nothing ever came from it. He never got another Hulk standalone movie. Mark Ruffalo later took on the role as the Green Monster, and if it makes anything better for Norton, we still haven't seen a Hulk standalone movie, so don't worry. Here we are at number 4 with Tim Roth. He played the villain, the Abomination, in the Incredible Hulk movie, so people thought they would see him again for the sequel to Avengers. Tim told Crave Online that Marvel actually considered it. He said, "They were going to do it. They were thinking in the Avengers or something. It just kind of got swept under the rug, I guess." He went on to say that he didn't feel confident about making a return to the MCU, so it's really no surprise that he disappeared after that. However, there's no bad blood and he'd be more than willing to come back. He once answered a fan question on Reddit and wrote, "I don't think Marvel will ever use me again, but it would be fun. Unfortunately, man, I don't think they will either." At number 3 is Chris Evans. Our beloved Captain America has disappeared from the Marvel Universe, and I'm still pretty upset about it. At the end of Avengers Endgame, we watched him pass over his shield to Falcon, who confirmed at the Seattle Comic-Con that he is in fact the new Captain America. Which can only mean one thing: Chris Evans no longer has a place in the MCU. Although you won't convince Marvel fans who feel like the actor can never truly be replaced. He did get one final performance in Endgame, and he was asked about his character's decision to return to the past and whether or not his reunion with Peggy Carter will have some sort of ramifications with Sharon Carter. Chris admits that he doesn't have the answer to that question, but he said that the MCU will never leave a stone unturned. He said, "Ask the writers. I mean, look, I understand there's a lot of things you could question about the time continuum, but if there's anything I've learned about working with Marvel, it's that they don't leave stones unturned. They really don't." So basically, let's all cross our fingers for the chance that he comes back for some kind of like cameo or something. Just put him on our screen. In spot number 2 is Robert Downey Jr. Number 2 on this list, but number 1 in our hearts. That was so cheesy. This one is pretty painful to talk about. After 11 years of watching the actor play Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, we had to part ways with him in Endgame after watching his very emotional death. Marvel fans are still digesting the death of the hero, and Comic-Con was just another reminder that we will not be seeing him in Phase 4. It might be safe to say that Robert Downey Jr. has officially run out of time in the MCU. People were happy to see him appear in Spider-Man: Homecoming, even though it wasn't part of a story that continues any further. But regardless, Marvel fans already have a theory that the actor might return one day. The actor has recently said that he wants to see Ironheart being immortalized on screen as an actual character in the MCU. If this is a possibility, then he could technically come back as an AI, meaning he could reprise his Tony Stark ego as an artificial intelligence. There's no confirmation on this, and Marvel's president Kevin Feige speaks on Tony Stark's death and said that his death will be felt in future movies. So he is still talking in past tense, which means that he is totally gone. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Tom Holland due to recent tragic events. The Marvel Universe was flipped upside down when it was announced that Disney and Sony could not reach an agreement on finances for the Spider-Man franchise. Technically, Sony owns Spider-Man, which also means that they pretty much own Tom Holland. The door officially closed on Spider-Man returning to the MCU, and Sony's boss man, Tony Vinciquerra, says they will be okay. He told Variety, "Spider-Man was fine before the event movies, did better with the event movies, and now that we have our own universe, he will play off the other characters as well. I think we're pretty capable of doing what we
have to do here. The two studios weren't able to reach an agreement because Disney wanted a 50-50 co-financing arrangement and Sony refused. There has been a ton of backlash from fans who are saying that they are going to boycott future Sony movies. Tom Holland doesn't like to speak on the issue right now and simply made a statement to his fans where he told them he's grateful and that he loves them 3000. Only true fans will know what that means.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Jake Thomas. He played the annoying little brother Matt on Lizzie McGuire. Although he was annoying, he was actually quite funny if I'm being honest. What made his character so good was that if you had a younger sibling who always told on you, then you could relate to what Lizzie went through. Playing Hilary Duff's young brother on such a successful show would definitely set you up for a big acting career, or so you would think. The former Disney star is now 29 years old and is still trying to make it in the acting world. He now travels between LA and Knoxville, Tennessee. Since his time on Lizzie McGuire, he's booked roles, some major and some minor. His last big role was in 2014 when he starred in the TV series Storytellers. Since then we haven't seen him in anything big. Here is hoping though that there is a Lizzie McGuire reunion and a remake and we can see him once again. And Hilary Duff too, of course. At number 9 is Tiffany Thorton, who starred alongside Demi Lovato in the Disney series Sunny with a Chance. She took on the hilarious role of Tawny Hart for 2 seasons, but then the show ended in 2011. Good news was, it was replaced by a spin-off show called So Random where she starred as the show's main character instead. Sorry Demi. But after just 1 year the show came to an end and we didn't really see much from the actress ever again. It was hard to believe seeing as she had a pretty impressive acting resume throughout her entire career. She starred on 8 Simple Rules, Hannah Montana, That's So Raven, The OC, and even Desperate Housewives. Turns out we haven't seen much of her because she ended up leaving the acting industry to focus on her family life. She is now a wife, a mother, and recently turned 33 years old. Taking over spot number 8 is David Henry. The actor is best known for his role as Justin Russo on the Disney show Wizards of Waverly Place. It definitely didn't hurt that his character was the brother to his co-star Selena Gomez. He had booked some roles before landing the role and he even continued to book more once the show was finished. He was only 18 years old when he got cast to play Justin Russo, so he knew he had a full career ahead of him. In 2013, he made an appearance in the movie Grown Ups 2, which starred Adam Sandler and Taylor Lautner. He also appeared in the movie Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Other than that, we haven't heard much from the actor, but it's simply due to the fact that he has been dedicating his time more to personal projects. He has directed 2 small movies, one called Boo and the other one called Catch. He is now 29 years old, so there's still plenty of time for him to get back into acting if he wanted to, although he has made some headlines with having some run-ins with the law, so he might have to clean up his record first. Sliding into spot number 7 is Cody Lindley. Every girl that watched Hannah Montana remembers his character, the teen heartthrob Jake Ryan. He played Miley Cyrus's love interest throughout the series and we couldn't help but crush along with her. Fans were sad to see him leave the show in 2010, and by fans I mean me. So what exactly has he been up to since he left the show? He did continue to pursue an acting career and even booked a role in the TV movies Sharknado 4 and Sharknado 5, but that was back in 2017 and we haven't seen him anything ever since. He still posts throwback pictures on Instagram from his time on the Disney show, so that's always a nice excuse to gush over our childhood crush. Turns out he is now living a pretty normal life. He's a big sucker for animals, which is why he turned vegan, and the now 29-year-old lives happily with his 3 dogs. At number 6 we have Ashley Brilalt. The former Disney star played one of Disney's most brilliant villains. Yes, I am talking about her role as mean girl Kate Sanders in Lizzie McGuire. She was Hilary Duff's enemy, but she played the part so well that fans loved to hate her. She took on a lead role in every single episode of the show, which is why fans were shocked when she completely disappeared afterwards. Right after the show ended in 2004, Ashley quit acting altogether and went on to study law. She ended up going to CSU Long Beach where she earned her degree in political science. Then she went to University of Denver where she got her JD. During an interview in 2015, she said, "At the moment I'm focusing on being a mom to this amazing little human being, and in the next few months I plan on looking for a job as a lawyer in the civil rights or criminal defense field. My ultimate goal is to work on issues related to criminal justice reform." I mean, seeing how she played Kate Sanders, I can totally see her being a kick-ass lawyer. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Matthew Timmons. The actor once starred alongside Dylan and Cole Sprouse on the Disney show The Sweet Life on Deck. He played the goofy and lovable Woody Fink, the kid with the crazy curly hair and glasses. Once the show ended, he still remained with Disney and appeared on the show Jessie. But after that, he kinda just dropped off the map, not just from Disney, but from acting altogether. He hasn't acted in anything ever since then, but he is still making his former fans laugh on his social media pages. When he was on the show, he wasn't exactly known
known for being the cool kid or the hottie of the group, but things have changed since then. He is now looking like an indie type of rock star. The former actor is now 26 years old and is living a pretty normal life compared to the Disney spotlight he used to be under. He loves interacting with fans on social media and often advocates for weight loss and the LGBTQ community. Here we are at number 4 with Stephen Anthony Lawrence, also known as Beans from the show Even Stevens. His character was so annoying and goofy that many fans thought he was adorable. After the show ended, he continued his career and booked some other roles in movies like The Cat in the Hat and Cheaper by the Dozen. He seemed to be on a roll, but things seemed to slow down for the actor. Since then, he has continued to book acting jobs, but nothing that would land him on the big screen or put him back in the limelight. Nowadays, he is living a life away from Hollywood glamour. He's still doing acting here or there, but he's also teaching college kids by leading seminars at various California schools. On top of that, it was reported that he was working at Sunny Valley Shopping Center in California being Santa Claus's helper during the holidays. Like, no joke, I'm being serious. He is now 28 years old and surprisingly looks a lot different. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Adam Lambert. All my 90s kids will remember him as Gordo from Lizzie McGuire. You know, the geeky friend we all wanted Lizzie to date. The show was one of the most successful shows at the time and he was leading the series alongside Hilary Duff. He even reprised his role for the movie and the remake of the series, the Lizzie McGuire movie. However, after it all ended in 2004, he seemed to just vanish from the acting world. He ended up going to school and just booked smaller projects on the side. His last acting role was in 2008 when he starred in the movie Beautiful Loser. That happened to be the same year that he graduated from UC Berkeley with a bachelor's degree in geography. Later on though, the years 2012 to 2014, he was a student at Barrett College where he got an MPA. He is now working at the Irish Arts Center in New York. In the number 2 spot is Kay Panabaker. She started out with Disney when she took on the role of Debbie Berwick, the annoyingly happy friend Pym, on the show Phil of the Future. From there on, she had a very successful career starring in different TV series and movies. She starred in 2.5 Men, Nancy Drew, Grey's Anatomy, Law & Order, and CSI. Her resume would be any actor's dream, which is why I am personally confused as to why she quit back in 2012. She went on to study at UCLA where she studied zoology, and as of 2016 she began working full-time as an animal keeper at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So she retired early from acting, but she hasn't completely left Disney. Her older sister Danielle Panabaker continued with her acting career and she can be found on the TV series The Flash where she plays Killer Frost. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Mitchell Musso. He's best known for playing Miley Cyrus's best friend Oliver Oaken in the Disney show Hannah Montana. After Hannah Montana ended, he continued to do some other work on the Disney Channel, but once he grew out of that, his acting career just quickly faded out. His career took a big hit because in 2011, while still filming with Disney, he was arrested in Burbank, California on October 16th. Apparently, he did not slow down for a police officer who was directing traffic for an accident, which had Mitchell pulled over. That's when they found that his blood alcohol level was higher than the legal limit. He was charged with a maximum of 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine for both misdemeanor counts. After that, he continued to pursue acting and book jobs here and there. His latest gig began in 2016 when he did voiceover work on the show Milo Murphy's Law. We don't really know what the now 27-year-old is up to, but you do get a glimpse of his life through social media. Starting off our list at number 10 is Cameron Diaz. Have you ever wondered what happened to this hilarious and beautiful actress? At one point in time, she was showing up in pretty much every movie that was brought to the big screen, but then out of nowhere we just kinda stopped seeing her. I didn't realize until recently that she actually hasn't been in anything since 2014. That was her last big year in the industry when we saw her in The Other Woman, Sex Tape, and Annie all in 1 year, and we haven't seen her since. Turns out last year she started making jokes that she retired, and so did her friends and previous co-stars. In March 2018, her close friend Selma Blair did an interview and said, "I would have liked to do a sequel, but Cameron's retired from acting. She's like, I'm done." This had Hollywood and fans wondering why the 45-year-old actress chose to retire without telling anyone. Not that she owes anyone an explanation, it just would have been nice to have a heads up. In 2018, it was confirmed that she has retired from acting and is now living a very low-key life. Since seeing her on the big screen, she has tied the knot to Benji Madden and has also been putting privacy above everything else. She turned her focus to wellness and has since released a few books now on health and aging. At number 9 is Chuck Norris. The actor has had a widely successful career, which is probably why it's been weird to have him missing from the acting industry. He has been a household name for nearly 50 years, but he recently made the decision to leave Hollywood without much of an explanation. Back in 2005, he turned his focus on his martial arts experience and debuted the World Combat League in the hopes of giving young fighters a chance to shine. He was still finding time to act, but he took a long break between 2005 to 2012. We saw him make a return in The Expendables 2 back in 2012, and then 3 years later in 2015 when he was a voice on the TV series The Goldbergs. Some fans believed he might have been making his return to acting, but during the 10 years he only had 2 credits to his name, and we haven't seen him ever since. Next up at number 8 is Shelley Duvall. You might remember her for her legendary performance as Wendy Torrance in The Shining. She established herself as one of the best actresses of her time with her extraordinary performances. However, in 2012 she disappeared out of the public eye, and no one knew what the actress was going through in her personal life. It wasn't until 2016 that we got an explanation for her sudden disappearance. The actress appeared on the Dr. Phil show, where she revealed that she had been struggling with a mental illness over the years. In her interview, you can tell that she is mentally unstable because she was discussing the fear of the Sheriff of Bottingham, which is a fictional character in Robin Hood. Not only that, but she was also claiming that the late Robin Williams is still alive and is actually shape-shifting.
I don't think he's dead.
Yeah, you don't think he's dead?
No.
Where do you think he is?
Shape-shifting?
Yeah.
She went on to explain that she has seen him before and that he looks good in some forms and other forms he doesn't. Once the interview was released, Dr. Phil was heavily criticized for airing the interview, which was deemed as exploitative of her mental illness. The interview is very hard to watch because you can see that the actress is truly struggling. Sliding into our number 7 spot is Jack Gleeson. The young actor played Joffrey in HBO's Game of Thrones. His character was one of the most hated characters in television history for being so vile and repulsive. He played the character from 2011 to 2014, but after the boy was killed off the show, Gleeson decided he wanted to step away from acting. The actor was always the first one to say that he is nothing like his character and left the business saying he didn't enjoy it as much as he used to. He was in the prime of his career, but went on to tell interviewers that he didn't want to be in the spotlight and actually wanted to go back to school. He decided to enroll himself at the Trinity College in Dublin to study philosophy and theology. During an interview he said, and I quote, "I hate celebrity culture." So he returned back home to school and is also a part of the Dublin-based theatre company called Collapsing Horse. In at number 6 is Ariana Richards. The child actor rose to fame with her role in the original Jurassic Park movie in 1993. She continued to pursue acting and even reprised her role in 1997 for The Lost World Jurassic Park. Between 1998 and 2013, she seemed to have taken a break from acting as we didn't see her taking on any new roles. Back in 2013, she showed up in a TV movie called Battle Dogs, which led people to believe she might be making her way back into Hollywood. But she actually left the world of Hollywood behind, and we haven't seen her on the screen ever since. Turns out the actress is now a painter, and a very successful one at that. Her artwork is famously known because she does lifelike portraits where people can order them as special gifts. I'm not gonna lie, I think it is a little refreshing for a young woman to leave Hollywood and still pursue a different form of art and be successful at it. She's only 39 years old, so she still has plenty of time to make her way back into Hollywood if she really wanted to. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Jack Nicholson. The man is titled a legend when it comes to acting, which is probably why it's no surprise that he can do whatever he pleases to do. Stepping away from the limelight was one of his decisions that left people wondering why he just upped and left. Back when he was doing an interview with The Sun, the actor opened up and said, "I'm not going to work until the day I die. That's not why I started this. I mean, I'm not driven. I was driven, but now I'm not. I don't have to be out there anymore. In fact, there's part of me that never really liked being out there." Well, I guess it is as simple as that. We haven't seen him acting since 2010 when he took on the role as Charles in How Do You Know? Last year in 2018, it was rumored that he would be coming out of retirement to star in the American remake of Tony Erdmann. Nothing has yet been confirmed though. Taking the number 4 spot is Jonathan Taylor Thomas, also known as JTT, or the son of Tim Allen on the hit TV show Home Improvement. When the young actor left the show, preteen hearts were shattered all over the world. At just 16 years old, the actor decided he wanted to leave the popular television show in order to live a more normal life. Many people didn't understand his choice, but he says it was just something he had to do. When speaking on it back in 2013, he said, "I'd been going non-stop since I was 8 years years old. I wanted to go to school, to travel, and have a bit of a break. An education is more surefire guarantee that you have possibilities open to you. JTT actually went to Harvard University and studied philosophy and history and finished his degree at Columbia University. When he left Home Improvement, he didn't completely disappear from Hollywood. He could be found in a few movies, doing voiceover work, and made some guest appearances on TV shows. But he couldn't be found between the years 2006 to 2013 as he declined being part of the Home Improvement finale, which is why fans went crazy when he appeared on Tim Allen's show Last Man Standing in 2013 to 2015. But his appearance was short-lived and we haven't seen him back since. Alright guys, at number 3 is Lelaine, who you might know as Hilary Duff's BFF in the Disney series Lizzie McGuire. The show skyrocketed the whole cast into fame and it appeared like the world was at their fingertips. However, not long after the show stopped airing, Lelaine completely vanished from the public eye. She didn't even appear in the big screen release of the Lizzie McGuire movie, which fans were super bummed about. She did an interview with Huffington Post where she refers to the years after Disney Channel as dark. She claims she went nuts and made bad decisions, one of them which had her arrested for the felony possession of crystal meth in 2008. Things got even worse for the young starlet as she was a no-show for her court date appearance. That's when the judge issued a $50,000 bench warrant for her arrest. Last we heard about the case was that she enrolled in the Asian American Drug Abuse Program. Her IMDb shows that every few years she booked a somewhat of a smaller project, but her record remains with a serious felony charge that she can't undo. Here we are at number 2 with Rick Moranis. The actor was adored for his role as Wayne Zielinski in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The actor's career was a massive success, appearing in things like The Flintstones, Brother Bear, and Gravedale High. In the 80s and early 90s, he was one of the hottest comedy actors around. Unfortunately, in 1997, his wife at the time passed away from a battle with breast cancer. The actor says he realized it was too difficult to make movies and raise his 2 children without his wife. He decided to walk away from the spotlight and focused on being a single dad. He didn't appear in anything from 1997 to 2001. He then continued to do some smaller voiceover work for the next 17 years. He was pretty much off of Hollywood's radar. In 2018, his voice was heard in an episode on the TV series The Goldbergs, but that is it. The actor has opened up about it and said he meant for it to be a short break at first, but during his break he realized he didn't really miss the industry. He enjoyed his time off and enjoyed being a dad. Taking our number 1 spot is Amanda Bynes. The Nickelodeon star was once in the prime of her career. She had a very successful career which began in 1998 and went all the way until 2010. Through different TV shows and movies, she had a huge fan base to support her as an actress, me being one of them. But the last movie we saw her in was Easy A all the way back in 2010. After that, her career came to a complete halt and no one really knew why. It wasn't until she began making headlines, and not for good reason. In 2012, she was arrested for driving drunk and hitting the side of a cop car. Luckily, no one was hurt, only minor paint damage was done to both vehicles. After that, fans started seeing Amanda get a little bit out of control. She began tweeting inappropriate comments about other stars and even called President Barack Obama and his wife ugly. She also pulled a Britney Spears and shaved half of her head and then filled both her cheeks with dermal piercings. She started walking the Hollywood streets in crazy colored wigs, trying to hide her face from the camera. In May of 2013, she was once again arrested, but this time for possession of marijuana and reckless endangerment after she threw a bong out of her Manhattan apartment window. Just 2 months later, Bynes was placed under involuntary psychiatric hold after she started a fire on a stranger's driveway. It was made clear that the actress was suffering from some sort of mental illness. In 2018, she came back to do an interview where she opened up about her past and she said she hopes to return to the acting industry. I am hoping too, girl. She was one of my favorite actresses as a kid. Starting off the list at number 10 is Sean Connery. The actor first rose to fame during the 60s when he became the first ever James Bond. That is quite the title to have. After that, he continued to take on roles in box office hits like The Untouchables, Highlander, The Rock, and we all know it didn't hurt his career when he also played Indiana Jones' dad in the movie. We know that his last film before he retired was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen back in 2003. This was the movie where he got into a fist fight with the director, Stephen Norton. It wasn't revealed until years later just exactly why he starred in a movie he hated so much with the director that he got into an altercation with. Turns out he had turned down both Lord of the Rings and The Matrix, so he felt like there was no way he could turn this one down. He told Entertainment Weekly, "I got offered The Lord of the Rings and I turned it down because I didn't understand it. I was offered The Matrix twice and I turned it down because I didn't understand it. I don't understand this movie, but I will be damned if I'm going to turn it down. After that, he basically called it quits on acting and he has been enjoying retirement ever since. At number 9 is the beautiful actress Meg Ryan. She has had a very successful acting career, which is why it was shocking when she just decided to walk away from it. We haven't seen her in a movie since 2015 when she took on a minor role, and many of us didn't even know she quit. She kind of just disappeared. We only found out last year on June 9th, 2018 when she joined her once co-star Gwyneth Paltrow for a panel discussion in LA. She sat down to do an interview for Gwen's In-Goop Health event. The two of them talked candidly about working in Hollywood and Meg's decision to quit acting a few years ago. Meg spoke about it by saying, "I didn't really aim to be an actor. I was a journalism major at school and a curious person, and I wanted to go back into the world and figure out who I am in relationship to other things and other people and other environments." Over the years, she has majorly stepped out of the spotlight and rarely makes appearances at public events. That doesn't stop the paparazzi from snapping some pictures though. So at our number 8 spot is Dylan Sprouse. You would know him and his twin brother Cole Sprouse from the Disney Channel's The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and then all their other Disney appearances after that, like The Sweet Life on Deck. Both of them had huge success at a young age. It was reported that they were earning $40,000 per episode at the height of their career. In 2011, the twins pulled away from the public eye without any explanation why. In 2013, some customers were startled at a coffee shop in the East Village when Dylan Sprouse was pouring lattes and craft beers. Turns out that Dylan went on to study at NYU, which is where he developed a passion for brewing. He did an internship for some time at a Brooklyn bourbon distillery and has a passion for mead in particular. He is now running his own brewery, which he added into the William Vale Hotel in Williamsburg, called the All Wise Meadery. During an interview with Vanity Fair in 2018, he refers to acting as a commission type job and says that the meadery provides a stable paycheck. He also admitted that he often gets compared to his brother Cole Sprouse, who landed a lead role as Jughead in the hit TV series Riverdale. When asked about his brother's TV show, he said, "Don't tell my brother, but I've only seen the first episode. If I'm being honest, when I first saw Riverdale, I had no idea which twin it was, so he could totally just pretend it was him and take the credit for it." In spot number 7 is Edward Furlong. He's best known for his role as John Connor in the 1991 Terminator 2 Judgment Day. He was starring alongside two huge stars, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton. The role made him incredibly successful, which would make you think he was on to bigger and better things from there on out. However, only 3 years after the successful movie, one director claimed the young actor was, and I quote, "clearly on a path to disaster." Unfortunately, his prediction happened to be true. It seems like the young actor couldn't handle the pressures of being in the business, so he turned to drinking and drugs, racking up multiple arrests over the years. He had arrests for drug possession, assault, and stealing lobsters from a supermarket. During an interview with People in 2006, he simply said, "Hollywood me up, man." Later in the interview, he said he had turned his life around, but that didn't seem to be the case. After that, he had more than one arrest regarding domestic turmoils. We haven't seen him in anything in years, and to be honest, we probably wouldn't even recognize him. At number 6 is Phoebe Cates. Back in the 80s, she was one of the biggest names in Hollywood, which is why it was hard to understand why she just kind of fizzled out of the spotlight. She made her first big debut in the movie Paradise and continued to have success in movies which had her fans believing she was here to stay. You may remember her from the later movies she did, like The Anniversary Party or Gremlins. In 1989, she got married to Kevin Kline, a very successful actor who we saw as Maurice in the 2017 Beauty and the Beast live-action movie. Kline opened up saying that when they decided to start a family, they didn't want work to take away from their time with the children. He told Playboy, and I quote, "We have agreed to alternate so that we're never working at the same time. But whenever it's been her slot to work, Phoebe has chosen to stay with the children. It seems like she quietly just kind of left the industry and retired from acting just to be a mom. She's done acting, but she still spends a lot of time doing charity work. Her son has type 1 diabetes, so she devotes her time towards raising funds for a cure. She also started her own boutique in 2005 called Blue Tree. She says, I quote, "I always wanted to have a general store. If I could have a photo booth and sold candy, I would have. Hey, the heart wants what it wants, and I guess hers just doesn't want acting anymore." Halfway through the list at number 5 is Randy Quaid. Yes, Dennis Quaid has a brother, and they look nothing alike, so don't feel bad if you didn't put the connection together. Dennis has had a very successful acting career where he spent years being called a Hollywood heartthrob. However, Randy has had a successful career also, with 119 acting credits to his name on IMDb, but he took on different roles than his brother did due to the difference in their looks. In 2009, his problems began when he and his wife were arrested for fraud by using an invalid credit card at an inn. They were released on bail but then failed to appear in court, and that's when warrants for their arrest were issued. Eventually, the two of them appeared in court, but the charges against the actor were dropped due to lack of evidence. Lucky him. Only 1 year later, the two of them were charged again, but this time for burglary after they spent 5 days staying in the guest house in a home they once owned. Once again, they failed to appear in court and warrants for their arrest were issued again. Turns out they moved to Canada, but they ended up getting arrested for their outstanding warrants. Taking the number 4 spot is Mara Wilson, aka Matilda. She was one of the most well-known and beloved child stars of the 90s, appearing in the movies Miss Doubtfire and then Matilda. But after she rose to fame, she disappeared from the spotlight in the blink of an eye. Years down the road, in 2016, she explains why she quit Hollywood in a memoir she wrote called Where Am I Now? True Stories of Girlhood and Accidental Fame. She explains that she didn't fit the look that Hollywood wanted as she got older. She said, "I wasn't getting any parts. I realized I don't fit their idea of what a Hollywood actress looks like. There's no room for me here. It's hard to come out of that sane and without some serious doubts about yourself." That's when she began to immerse herself in school, theater, and writing. After she graduated college, she admits in her book that she's never felt better. She writes, "Things have gotten a lot better since I left Hollywood. A great weight lifted." Now she lives in New York, where she's become a part of the comedy and writing scene. She happily lives in Queens with her 2 cats and says that yes, she still gets recognized as Matilda. But that is no surprise because she literally looks the exact same. Alright guys, at number 3 is Frankie Muniz, who you might know as Malcolm from the classic TV series Malcolm in the Middle. The show ran from 2000 to 2006 and is basically what put him on the map in the acting world. He also did other movies like Big Fat Liar, Agent Cody Banks, and Sharknado. Needless to say, he had a wildly successful career. His acting resume is stacked with a number of different credits, which is why I was so stunned when I found out that he walked away from Hollywood and is now running an olive oil shop. Yes, that is a thing. Turns out acting is no longer his main focus anymore, although you will see him popping up in some projects once in a while. After he left his full-time acting career, he and his fiancée Paige Price now own an olive oil shop called Outrageous Olive Oils and Vinegars in Old Town Scottsdale. If you go, you will actually spot him sitting behind the register. The now 32-year-old says, "We had been customers at the store before and we just knew we liked the product and we wanted to do something together. Now it's become our lives." The former actor, who was once practically drowning in fame, money, and success, says that he's found a new passion: payroll. He said, "I love doing payroll. I love doing anything with the financials. I'm a numbers guy, so this has been like a dream come true for me." Amen. To each their own. At number 2 is Orlando Brown, the Disney star most known for his role on That's So Raven. After That's So Raven, he went on to other acting projects and also got into the music industry. But over the past few years, Brown has disappeared from Hollywood and has found trouble with the law instead, getting arrested for multiple different things. He was arrested for burglary, which was actually caught on tape, rookie mistake, so he couldn't even get away with it. TMZ posted a video of him moments leading up to the burglary where he takes a cloth to cover up the camera, but he didn't even wear a mask to do so. He is literally the worst criminal ever. He was arrested again in September 2018 for another burglary charge in Las Vegas. He remained in jail on $13,000 bail, which includes bail from his previous arrest charges for drug possession and resisting a public officer and domestic battery. In his latest mugshot, he showed off a new tattoo on his chest, the face of Raven Simone, his co-star from the show. He also had a huge smile on his face, so it looks like he's not too upset by things. I think it is safe to say we won't be seeing him on our TV screens anytime soon. Taking our number 1 spot is Daniel Day-Lewis. People were shocked in 2017 when he basically just quit acting and retired from acting altogether. Some didn't believe that he would actually be done, but we haven't seen him in anything ever since, so I think it's time that we better start coping with this. It was announced publicly in June of 2017 saying, "Daniel Day-Lewis will no longer be working as an actor. He is immensely grateful to all of his collaborators and audiences over the many years. This is is a private decision and neither he nor his representatives will make any further comment on the subject. The actor later did an interview with Variety where he opened up about his choice to retire, and he was told that people don't think he's really done with acting or Hollywood. His response to that was, "I didn't want to get sucked back into another project. All my life I have mouthed off about how I should stop acting, and I don't know why it was different this time, but the impulse to quit took root in me and that became a compulsion. It was something I had to do." It's hard to say what exactly he's up to these days because all we get is a few random pictures from the paparazzi of him just walking around. Starting off our list at number 10 is Angus T. Jones. The young actor made his big break on the show 2.5 Men, but quit the show after 10 long seasons. His reasoning for leaving the show was because he felt the show was filth. He even went as far as telling viewers to stop watching it. Angus explains that as he got older he felt the show went against his religious views. It was reported that the young actor was earning about $350,000 an episode, but he still felt confident in his decision to walk away from the show. After leaving, he joined different Christian groups like Forerunner Chronicles, where he made testimonial videos about his faith. He ended up becoming the president of Entertainment at Tonight, which is an events company co-founded by Diddy's son, Justin. When asked if he has any interest in returning to acting, he says, "The door is definitely still open for me to do that, but I am taking things slowly. I'm kind of liking the ability to travel and to move around at a moment's notice and not have to be in one spot for years at a time." Well, that is fair enough. Good news is he's still young and has a lot of time to make his return. At number 9 is Brittany Ashton Holmes. Ever wonder what happened to that adorable little Darla from Little Rascals? You know, the girl Alfalfa secretly loves and writes his famous line to? "Dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts. You make me vomit." I mean, if I got a letter that started out like that, I might quit acting too. The young actress was only 5 years old when she got the part in the movie remake of the classic show. The whole cast was great, but she definitely stole the show. After the movie was released, she continued to act but only got a handful of gigs. She ended up retiring from acting very early on in her career after she finished the 1996 sci-fi movie Inhumanoid. She went off to school and is currently working on getting a degree in political science and is now 30 years old. Before MySpace was deleted, she wrote, "I was an actress when I was little and did this movie called Little Rascals. It's like really embarrassing to watch and I don't want to act anymore." She is still living in LA though, so maybe one day we will see her on our screen once again. Swiping the number 8 spot is Peter Ostrom, also known as Charlie Bucket in the original 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The child actor was just 12 years old when he was selected to play the role. After the movie, he went on to say that he really enjoyed working on the film, but that he decided not to sign a 3-film contract when the movie was over. When he returned home from filming the movie, he says he grew an interest in horses and was interested in becoming a veterinarian one day. He no longer had an interest in being part of the Hollywood world. He ended up going to Cornell University College of Veterinary Medicine in 1984 to receive his certificate. His earnings from the movie are actually what funded his purchase of his very first horse. During an interview with Express, he said, "Looking back, my paycheck was paltry, but it was during filming that I became interested in medicine. So I bought my first horse with my earnings and that started my current career path as a vet." Later on in 2005, he moved to New York with his wife and 2 children, and as of 2018, he works out of the Countryside Veterinarian Clinic where he mainly works with horses and cows. As for acting, he says that he wanted to live a normal life and had declined reporters and interviews for a long period of time. He did admit that sometimes he misses acting, but says his life as a vet has also been his dream for many years. Taking the number 7 spot is Karen Parsons. She's famous for playing Hilary Banks on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Outside of the show, she had other acting success, but we haven't seen her on the big screen since 2002. Her last movie was 13 Moons and her last TV series was The Job. She up and left her acting career after that and has been dedicating herself to changing the lives of other people. In 2013, she founded a non-profit organization that teaches kids all about figures in Black history. She called it Sweet Blackberry. She did an interview with Huffington Post where she spoke about the importance of her organization. She said, I quote, "When you only hear about a handful of stories, the message is, every once in a while a special Black person comes along. And that's a dangerous dangerous message to send to everyone. It does nothing but harm the idea of black people. I think it's really important to tell these stories because there are lessons to be learned. Incredible lessons about perseverance and determination and opportunity to do something great. Her organization did a project that shared the story of the first black female pilot named Bessie Coleman, which ended up being a huge success. And at number 6 is Michael Schoeffling. He won the hearts of many young girls when he took on the role of Jake Ryan in the classic movie 16 Candles. He started the movie back in 1984 and quit acting not that long after in 1991. Fans were wondering whatever happened to the heartthrob, and we later found out that in between booking roles, he got into making furniture. He now has a successful furniture business in his home in Pennsylvania. When asked about why he made the career path switch, he told LA Times, "Actors spend most of their time out of work, so I actually spend more time making furniture. The thing about furniture that's much better than acting is that it's just me. There's no director, no script, the concept is me, unless a client wants something. In film work, you do the best you can under the given circumstances, but you don't have control. At least I don't." Well, I'm sure people would love the chance at buying a chair from Jake Ryan. Halfway through at number 5 is Barrett Oliver. Some say he was the most talented child actor of the 80s after he took on the role as Bastian in The Never-Ending Story. After the success that 1984 movie brought him, he went on to star in movies like The Twilight Zone and The Secret Garden. People thought he was well on his way to be the next Hollywood star, but he ended up ditching acting at the young age of 16. In 2004, there was an update on where he was at in his life, and it confirmed that he was a photography teacher in California, where he holds workshops and demonstrations about the craft. One fan visited his photo exhibition in California and posted online saying he has a full beard, wears glasses, and has long hair. His voice was recognizable, he wasn't really tall, and spoke quietly. And let me tell you, they were not lying. He doesn't show any signs of regret or desire to return to Hollywood or acting, and fans aren't totally sure if he would even be able to at this point. Here we are at number 4 with Jeff Cohen. You might remember him from his role as Chunk in the legendary The Goonies. The classic movie came out in 1985, and he continued his acting career up until 1991. When asked why he left the industry, he cracks jokes saying that puberty forced him into early retirement as a child actor. He explains that as he got older, finding work was a lot more difficult. Once acting was out of the picture, he found a passion for law and attended the University of California, Berkeley, earning a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. The former actor went on to become a lawyer, and in 2008 he was named one of the top 35 executives under 35 years of age. He continues to be a successful lawyer and says that acting has benefited his legal career because it makes him more empathetic for his clients and less academic. He has also done work for the Huffington Post and BNBC from time to time about business and legal subjects, so I guess he's still in Hollywood in some sense. Alright guys, at number 3 is Gene Hackman. The actor blessed our screens for years, but we haven't seen him since 2004 when he starred in Welcome to Mooseport. It's been said that he never officially retired, but we kind of just figured it out on our own, seeing as he hasn't worked on anything in years. Not to mention he is 89 years old now. Ever since he left the acting industry, he's taken his talent and skill to print instead. He began working with archaeologist Daniel Menahan to write 3 historical fiction novels. That's right, our man Hackman is known to be an author now. On top of his fiction novels, he also wrote 2 solo ones. In 2011, he wrote Payback at Morning Peak, and in 2013, he wrote a book called Pursuit. While fans are still missing him on the screen, I'm sure, they must be glad he's still putting his wit and talent into something. And at number 2 is Jake Lloyd. The once child star took on the role of the young Anakin Skywalker in the highly anticipated Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. What would seem like the opportunity of a lifetime was quickly taken from him when the movie didn't live up to its expectations. It was said that his performance got lumped into the overall fan disappointment of the movie. Before that though, he did book some other roles on TV series like ER and The Pretender. But it seems like after Star Wars, he left his acting career behind. Between the years 1999 to 2002, he has smaller credits, but mostly for being the voice on Star Wars video games. Since then, the actor has made headlines, but for all the wrong reasons. We have learned that he suffers from schizophrenia and also had a few run-ins with the law. Taking our number 1 spot is Danny Lloyd. For decades, horror fans have been asking author Stephen King, what happened to that kid from The Shining? Well, I am here to give you the very unscary truth. He became a pig farmer and a science teacher. The actor at the time was only 5 years old, and now he is in his 40s, married, and a father of 6. In 2013, he did his first episode since he was a kid with Daily News, where he opened up about his normal life, saying that people don't recognize him when he goes out in public. He explained that he did continue acting but ended up giving up when he was a teenager. He said, I quote, "We kept trying for several years until I was in high school and I stopped at about 14 with almost no success." Danny says he enjoyed being in the movie but went on to work at a local Walmart and drove a tractor on a hog farm. Now he teaches biology at a community college outside of Louisville. He watched The Shining for the first time when he was 16 years old with a group of friends and says that he was not scared. Just a few weeks ago, the sequel to the movie dropped its official trailer for Dr. Sleep, and fans were a bit butthurt that Danny won't be returning to reprise his role. Starting off our list at number 10 is Erik Von Detten. He's known for a lot of his work like Recess, The Princess Diaries, Toy Story 3, 8 Simple Rules, Days of Our Lives, and much more. He's pretty much had a jam-packed acting career which began in 1991 and sadly came to an end in 2010. It's hard to believe anyone would want to walk away from a resume like that, but he did. He walked away from the limelight and went on to live a pretty regular lifestyle. He is currently 36 years old and is working a full-time job in sales. He recently got married in 2018 and says that he still acts from time to time, but only in his local community center just for fun. In November 2018, Romper did an exclusive interview with him about why he left Hollywood out of nowhere. He said that he always knew he wanted to settle down and start a family, so he just knew that it was his time. He explained how difficult it is to make a career out of acting and also have a family, but says hats off to the actors who are able to maintain their steady career. At number 9 is Shirley Temple. The once child star will forever be remembered by her sweetness, cute songs, and dance. How could anyone forget her song Good Ship Lollipop? The world was sad to hear that she passed away back in 2014 at age 85, but still goes on to remember her career. Always. She spent her entire childhood in the spotlight but ended up leaving the industry at age 22. She explained she left because as she got older she realized she was still being typecasted and was no longer happy with the films that she was a part of. She up and left from Hollywood, and when she returned as a television host years later for a few years, fans were thrilled. Unfortunately, that only lasted 3 years and then she completely walked away and turned to politics instead. That's right, she disappeared from Hollywood but ended up joining the United Nations delegation in 1969 and became the US ambassador to Ghana. She spent her final years of life living in the Woodside, California. The Times wrote a final statement about the actress saying, "Although she may always be best remembered as America's sweetheart, the woman who left the screen at 22 saying she had enough of pretend ended up leaving a considerable mark on the real world." Taking over our number 8 spot is Kel Mitchell. He's famously known for being a Nickelodeon star headlining on the show Kenan and Kel. And when he disappeared from Hollywood, people began to speculate and rumors began to spread, like they always do. Next thing you know, the actor is dead at 27, according to the news that is. His false death circulated the news and social media back in 2006, when really all along he was very much alive and well. His disappearance from the public eye still remained a mystery, but he finally opened up during an interview with Culture in 2013 about what he has been up to. Turns out he has kept himself busy writing, acting in, and directing the occasional films, but his main focus right now has been on Christianity and raising a family. In recent years, he made his return to act on the sitcom called Game Shakers, and it has been announced that we might see him in upcoming projects later this year. So all you Nickelodeon fans, just stay tuned. But don't get your hopes fully up, because I could be lying to you. Swiping the number 7 spot is Elizabeth Hurley. She is best known for her earlier work in Austin Powers, but more recently for her roles on the hit TV series Gossip Girls, Runaways, and The Royals. Despite her talent and success, she vanished from the spotlight and the industry from 2005 to 2010, and then again from 2014 to 2017. She kind of just comes and goes as she pleases, apparently. People have always wondered why exactly she up and left in the first place, and apparently it was because she wanted a different life at the time. In 2005, she told the New York Post that she was no longer going to act in movies because she wanted to focus on raising her son. She stuck to her word because she didn't appear in anything until 2010. She said, I quote, "Looking after my son became my #1 task, and it was a joy to have someone else to focus on. I was 36 and had been worrying about myself for quite long enough. I stopped doing movies and TV for the first 8 years of his life, and I don't regret it for a moment." Now she is 54 years old and owns her own bikini line called Elizabeth Hurley Beach. In spot number 6 is John Hughes, the actor famously known for his role in 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and The Breakfast Club. Not only was he an actor, but he was also a director and even wrote some of Hollywood's classics like Home Alone, Flubber, and Beethoven. Needless to say, he had quite the successful career. His acting career only lasted 5 years though, and in 1991 he quit everything and moved to Chicago in 1995. From then on, he was gone from the Hollywood limelight but continued to write and work on screenplays. He enjoyed living a more private lifestyle while being able to still work on his passion, which is writing. Sadly, back in 2009 on August 6, he was walking near his hotel in Manhattan and suffered from a heart attack. Not long after, he was pronounced dead at just 59 years old. But no one could ever forget him since he is still a part of some of our favorite cult classics. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Lark Voorhees. The young actress stole our hearts when she played Lisa on the hit series Saved by the Bell. Once the series was over, she went on to reprise her role in the series Saved by the Bell The College, and then the TV movie Saved by the Bell Wedding in Las Vegas. But after that, she just seemed to disappear out of the spotlight, only booking smaller roles, mainly indie films or TV movies. The last time anyone saw her at all on the screen was in 2012 when she starred in Closer to God, Jessica's Journey. She showed up years later with a ton of plastic surgery done to her face and admitted to having bipolar disorder. Currently, she is living with her mom in California, where her mom says there are things that have traumatized her and she is just working on getting better. She has turned to writing in the meantime and has released books that are all self-published. On top of that, people began to question why her face had unusual discoloration, so she publicly stated that she also had been diagnosed with lupus. She even went as far as filing a lawsuit against the National Enquirer, who published a story about her face discoloration, stating that she had a drug problem. She hopes that she can be an advocate and an influence on those who suffer from similar illnesses. Coming in at number 4 is Carrie Henn. The actress was only 9 years old when a casting call went up in her hometown for the space horror movies Aliens in 1986. Even though she had never acted before, she somehow caught the eye of the director and she booked the role of Newt after their very first meeting. Her brother Chris was also cast in a smaller role, but his performance wasn't shown until the director's cut was released in 1992. She was basically living the dream being involved in a movie like that, but neither she nor her brother ever took on another role after that. Literally, her entire acting career began and ended all with one movie. People always wondered what happened to the little girl, and she has since opened up about why she got a little taste of Hollywood but quickly left. She says it was because she didn't want to live in LA. At the time, her family was living in England and it would have meant that she would have to leave her family. They couldn't pick up and move to LA because they were a military family and were stationed there. Henn is now an elementary school teacher and she says she occasionally signs copies of the Aliens DVD for her students. Alright guys, at number 3 is Alison Lohman. The talented actress has starred in a variety of movies and TV series like Seventh Heaven, Safe Harbor, Drag Me to Hell, and more. Her career was on a roll but then came to a halt in 2009 where she just seemed to go off the map. Between the years 2009 to 2015 we didn't see anything from her, but people have always wondered why. Turns out she put a pause on her acting career so that she could focus on being a mom. She was living a pretty normal lifestyle trying to raise her son Billy, which was kept a secret for an entire year apparently. She moved to Romania with her husband and gave birth there, so the news wasn't revealed until the following year in August 2011. She stunned fans when she returned to acting in 2015 but disappeared again the following year. We haven't seen her in anything since, but according to her Twitter, she is now an acting coach. In our number 2 spot is Gary Busey, the legendary actor who has appeared in over 150 movies including Lethal Weapon, Point Break, and Predator 2. He quickly rose to fame and stardom back in 1978 when he played Buddy Holly in The Buddy Holly Story, which earned him an Academy Award nomination. Just 10 years later, he suffered from serious head injuries after crashing his motorcycle in California. He wasn't wearing a helmet at the time of the crash and had to have immediate surgery, where he was left with severe and permanent brain damage. He did continue on with his acting career but often made headlines for his addiction to cocaine and erratic behavior. In more recent years, his career has died down and we haven't seen him in anything since 2016. He and his wife did appear on the Dr. Phil show in 2018 where they spoke about his acting career and how his brain injury has affected him. His wife Stephanie says she feels like everyone has misjudged him and wanted to share his life story. They even wrote a book together called Buseyisms: Gary Busey's Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. worth. Taking our number 1 spot is Heather Donahue. We watched her take on a role in one of the horror movie classics, The Blair Witch Project. The movie came out in 1991 and stamped the arrival of found footage horror. It literally blew everyone's mind. The actress made a variety of appearances in indie horror movies and on TV, starring in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But despite everyone loving and being totally convinced by her performance in Blair Witch, she never booked any high-profile leading roles. She ended up just leaving the industry as a whole back in 2005. When asked about it during an interview, she said, "I took all my stuff into the desert relating to my acting career and burned it all." But she did admit to keeping the blue ski cap from the movie poster. She joked and said if things get really bad, she can just sell it on eBay. So where did she go and what has she been doing all these years? Turns out she has been growing marijuana, mostly for medical purposes, she says. Mostly. She even writes about it in her book, which she wrote called Grow Girl. She ended up living in California with a bunch of growers and their pot wives who help build grow rooms and tend to the crops.